Hello. This presentation will provide an overview of the Substance Abuse Subtle Screening Inventory, also known as the SASSI-4. It will also provide an appraisal of the assessment tool and details of measure administration conducted by Aaliyah Rainsberg. In addition to Aaliyah, we also had 3 other group members: Kate Teflick, Michelle Lofton, and myself, Winnie Wemigwas. The graphics included on this particular slide show the cover art of the SASSI-4 scoring key and a slogan often used by the SASSI Institute. So the SASSI-4, or the Substance Abuse Subtle Screening Inventory, was first published in 1988. Dr. Glenn Miller created and published that first Substance Abuse Subtle Screening Inventory and also founded the SASSI Institute at the same time in 1988. Publishers include the SASSI Institute and Jewell and Hupp LLP. Copyright history for the SASSI was first published in 1998. Revision dates include 1994, 1997, 1999, 2006, and 2016. The version that we used for this assignment, Assignment 3, is the 2016 version. So the SASSI purpose and recommended use. It identifies high or low probability of substance use disorders. It also provides a measure of the level of defensiveness and the willingness to acknowledge experienced consequences of substance use disorder. It's for use with adults 18 years and up. It's not recommended for adolescents or youth. Because adolescents or youth are still developing, and in addition, it also measures acknowledgement of consequences that may not manifest until later in life. There is, however, the SASSI-4 for adolescents. It's also not recommended for use with non-English speakers, nor recommended for use with someone that does not have at least a 4th grade reading level. Individuals who don't speak or fully understand English and people that don't have at least a 4th grade reading level will produce invalid responses because the tool relies on self-reporting. Excuse me. Let's move to forms. Alternative forms are available for adolescents, again, the SASSI-4, and for Spanish-speaking clients, Spanish SASSI. It is comprised of 93 items for adults and 100 items for adolescents. The SASSI-4 is comparable to the Michigan Alcohol Screening Test, the CAGE questions for alcohol use, the CIDI SAM interview, the Drug Abuse Screening Test, or the DAST, and the MCMI-3 Alcohol Dependence Scale. Researchers Erford, Adelaide, and Bardoschi completed a systematic comparison of substance use screening tools because they screened for similar symptoms. The biggest difference between the SASSI and other substance use screenings is the measurement of defensiveness, or in other words, the consideration of potential dishonesty in reporting. This is helpful in determining treatment plans and for clients that are resistant to the idea that they even have a potential substance use disorder. Now, what is the format of the SASSI-4? Clients fill in bubbles to match the coordinating answer. SASSI also has Scantron and online assessments available for purchase. It is very legible and readable. The assessment can be completed by the client in the intake packet, through interviewing, by listening to an MP3 file, or using the online version. It's also attractive and easy to read, in versions that include paper, Scantron, audio, and online formats. When the Scantron version or online versions are not being used, a clear plastic tool is used to easily score the answers provided by the client. Therefore, it is an extremely convenient and quick measuring tool. In terms of content, it measures the probability that a client has a substance use disorder. It measures the client's defensiveness, and the defensiveness score allows the clinician to see if the person reporting is being defensive and or lying about substance use. It uses a combination of self-anchored rating scales and true-false items. More specifically, it uses direct content items like, I have used alcohol or pot too much, and indirect content items like, I am rarely at a loss for words. The SASSI-4 utilizes 10 rating scales with 3 direct and 7 indirect items. The indirect responses to some items can be used to establish defensiveness scores due to the client not responding honestly or incongruently, both of which have huge implications for successful recovery. In addition, the SASSI-4 uses a combination of ordinal and nominal levels of measurement. As the graphic illustrates, nominal measurement utilizes categories with no ordering or direction, and ordinal measurement that utilizes ordered categories such as rankings, order, or scaling. Both nominal and ordinal measures produce qualitative data. This data could be used during a biopsychosocial assessment, predict potential treatment success, and or to design a treatment plan for the client. Now let's move on to the administration of the SASSI-4. The assessment is most often completed during the intake process, whether that means self-completion before the interview or further clarification via intake. The scoring of the screening is completed post-intake. Keep in mind that the questions are not measures of therapeutic change and therefore are not recommended to be re-administered, except when screening yields a high random answering score or if the clinician deems the individual did not follow, understand, or was defensive while taking the assessment. Third, the SASSI-4 is particularly important for court-mandated clients. The client analyses, scores, and or diagnoses are often passed along to necessary court liaisons. To the left is an example of, a completed assessment. Aaliyah administered the SASSI-4 to a client who was very similar demographically. A 33-year-old Caucasian male who is an English-speaking high school graduate. Though the client tests low for substance use disorder, he tests very high for defensiveness. This is common with court-mandated clients or those who have a potential to reoffend. In this case, the client had completed the SASSI-4 in the lobby and was scored while the supervising clinician was in session with the client. And now Aaliyah will give us a brief verbal tour of the SASSI-4 form that we have on this particular slide.
So as let me go back. With everything being closed, I had to go off of a SASSI score that I did probably about a month and a half ago. Male client had come in, a 33-year-old. As we see here, the sample Jim when he's 38, pretty close in age. We don't know what race or ethnicity he is, so who knows how similar that is, but the scores were pretty much the same. As you can see here, he has no all down the side here, and all the rules, rule 1, rule 2, rule 3, and a very low score in all those areas. But you see the defensiveness is a high score for defensiveness. When you're scoring it, you have 93 bubbles and you put a plastic sheet right over it. You can, so it's labeled rule 1. So you count all the rule 1 that bubbles line up and how much them points add up. After them points add up, you bring it to the scoring sheet right here. This is where you can see things like defensiveness stand out when you connect. So even though on the bottom in number 2, all rules answered no, where it would say a low probability of having a substance use disorder, Jim reported high defensiveness score. So we would report that though this assessment does not rule having a substance use disorder, it does rule that he does have dishonesty when reporting, because he answered the indirect questions in a way that would exhibit a substance use disorder. This is where you would use other tools such as the DAST or the Michigan assessment tools to verify where he's at.
Thank you, Leah. You may be asking, so who should administer the SASSI-4? The answer is both clinical and support staff can administer the score for a SASSI-4. However, they will need to complete a qualification form from the SASSI Institute training, and have some experience in the area of assessment.
And just to interject for a little bit, there's for those individuals that don't have a license or anything, there's an additional there are additional questions in that particular qualification form that pertain directly to the individuals that are not qualified professionally.
And the qualification form that Michelle is talking about is available on their website for the SASSI Institute. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so how long does it take to complete the SASSI-4? For the client, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. For the clinician, it takes approximately 10 minutes to score. Are there instructions for administration and completion? Are they easy to understand? The answer is yes. It's both easy to administer and easy to follow, and there are several supports that exist to help conduct a successful screening. There is a free clinic helpline for administration and interpretation support. In addition, there are accommodations available for individuals who may need to listen to a CD or audio tape. And the SASSI Institute also offers training for trainers of the SASSI-4. There are clinicians across the USA and Canada that are available to teach the scoring. So does the SASSI-4 require practice exercises? Nope. Actually, due to the SASSI-4's purpose of ferreting out defensiveness, practice exercises wouldn't be feasible. And it's actually because this tool includes measuring defensiveness and resistance that it would not be appropriate to do practice exercises for preparation in taking the SASSI-4. It would be detrimental to the validity of the scoring if a client is allowed to practice their answers. What does the SASSI-4 cost? It's quoted on their website as costing $265 for the adult SASSI-4 starter kit large. This kit includes 1 adult SASSI-4 user's guide or manual, 2 adult SASSI-4 scoring tools, 100 adult questionnaire forms, and 100 adult male-female profile sheets. Other formats and additional products are also available at the SASSI.com website. The Institute also offers other assessments on their website for purchase. The Behaviors and Attitudes Drinking and Driving Scale, otherwise known as BADS, and the Substance Abuse Screener in American Sign Language, which is also known as the SAS-ASL. As stated previously, scoring guidelines are provided. Guidelines are provided to the clinician as well as easy-to-use scoring tool sheets. There are not professional qualifications required to score the measure. However, it is stated that the optimal diagnostic procedure is conducted by a professional who has already established a rapport with the client and has the background knowledge of other test reports or legal history. To obtain the SASSI assessment itself, the qualification form that has already been discussed must be completed by a potential administrator. This form has a list of various certifications and licenses that are typical of those utilizing the SASSI. If one does not hold one of these certifications or licenses, they must submit their qualifications based on degrees held or professional experience. And lastly, the measure uses primarily raw scores, but the SASSI-4 also has subscores within the measure. The developers caution against interpreting subscale scores with only the use of the user guide. The subscales within the SASSI are also known as the FVA and the FVOD. And that's all I have, because then I didn't know if we wanted to, oh, you want to stop the recording quick?